extended depth of focus lenses. Presbyopia-correcting intraocular lenses have been one of the major innovations in cataract surgery in the last years. Our patients now demand good, far, but also near and intermediate vision, and one of the goals of cataract surgery, and especially refractive cataract surgery today, is to decrease the spectacle dependence following cataract surgery. For this purpose, some lenses have been developed, like multifocal lenses. In the way of being developed are accommodative lenses and a new type of lens that has appeared in the market, which are extended depth of focus EDOF intraocular lenses. They were approved for use in the United States by the FDA on July 15, 2016, and they are based on the principle to create a single elongated focal point to enhance depth of focus or range of vision. Being in that way built up, these are different to multifocal lenses in which different multifocal points are created with convergence of the light energy in far, near, and sometimes intermediate focus, while here in EDOF lenses there is a single elongated focal point to enhance the depth of focus. In doing that, EDOF lenses allow better intermediate vision, while should be minimally affecting distance vision. The trade-off with the use of EDOF lenses is a reduction in distance image quality if the aberration magnitude is too large, because basically these lenses are created using an increase in the aberrations of the optics of the lens in order to create this elongated focus. Especially spherical aberration is increased in these lenses. EDOF lenses work by focusing incoming waves in an extended longitudinal plane. This is opposed to the monofocal lenses in which focus wave planes are produced on a single point or two or to three discrete points, depending whether they are bifocal or multifocal. The goal of this elongated focus is to eliminate the overlapping of near and far images caused by traditional multifocal lenses, and in this way to eliminate the halo defect. Halo and photo phenomena are the consequences of image overlapping in multifocal lenses, and creating one only elongated focus targets to eliminate this disabled condition. To accomplish this, different lenses have been created, and all of them are based in increasing the spherical aberration of the lens in a different way, depending on different technologies. EDOF lenses create a balance between depth of field and quality of vision. By increasing the aberrations of the eye, the quality of the retinal image is degraded. This increases the depth of field, but there should be a balance between image degradation and increased depth of field, in the way that this creates an improvement in the perception of the patient at different distances, while not degrading the quality of the retinal image too much, creating the perception of bad quality of vision. We need to remember that one of the principles to increase the image quality is to decrease the aberrations of the eye, and EDOF lenses are just doing the opposite. Some important issues have to be remembered. First, the optical aberrations of the eye depends on the cornea and the lens, the intraocular lens. In case of cataract surgery, corneal spherical aberration can be positive or negative, and we can implant lenses that can compensate the spherical aberration of the cornea, increasing or decreasing the total aberrations of the eye in the positive or negative area. Decreasing the chromatic aberration is not increasing the depth of focus, but rather increases contrast sensitivity. Chromatic aberration plays a minimal role in quality of vision, and indeed it is when reduced, increasing the contrast sensitivity, not the depth of field. This is why decreasing chromatic aberration is used in some diffractive intraocular lens technologies in order to be able to improve the contrast sensitivity that by definition is decreased in diffractive intraocular lenses due to the dispersion of light and the loss of light, creating a focal image. On the contrary to multifocal lenses, in which the different focal distances are created by adding power to near or intermediate distances, EDOF lenses create a monocular depth of focus by manipulating the aberrations of the eye. The limit to create an adequate quality of the retinal image, or at least good enough, increasing depth of field, is about 0.5 to 0.75 diopters. The effectivity of the EDOF lenses to improve near vision is limited by the number of aberrations to be increased, and this is reflected by the focus curve that have been published on these lenses, which are significantly less good for near than multifocal lenses, as it is explained in these different defocus curves that have been published by Breyer and collaborators in 2017. In other words, EDOF lenses are improving intermediate vision, but seldomly improve near vision. The main reason to create an EDOF lens is to decrease the dysphotopsia created by overlapping of the retinal image by different focal distances in the retina. These overlapping images creates dysphotopsia, halos, and glare, and the elongated depth of field of pure EDOF lenses is not creating different focal distances, and so halos and glares should be not created as far as the limits of the spherical aberration induced are not violating. From a certain moment, the amount of spherical aberration induced decreases the quality of retinal image, and the patient will have a perception of bad quality of vision. These are examples of how the quality of retinal image is created by the light coming from far at the retina, studied by a sophisticated tool which is pyramidal aberrometry. As it is seen here, monofocal lenses create a pure pinpoint image in the retina because no light dispersion is produced. Multifocal IOLs always create some halo as reflecting the image, but good lenses provide a good quality of retinal image. On the contrary, EDOF lenses, when they violate the limits of spherical aberration or in general aberrations induced in the lens in order to elongate the focal plane, there is a degradation, a dispersion of the focal image, creating the feeling and the fact of a decreased quality of vision, as it is shown in the image of the right of this slide. So it is to remember that an inadequate increase in the eye aberrations will degrade the quality of retinal image and will create a negative neuroadaptation. Simply talking, the brain will not be able to process the image with the perception of sharp image, and in this way feeling that the quality of the vision is poor. So the tolerance to the total induced aberrations could significantly contribute to patient dissatisfaction following implantation of lenses that are creating an excessive degradation of the retinal image as far as they increase too much the eye aberrations. Based on these principles, we have different lenses. EDOF lenses using spherical aberrations are a good example. One of the examples is this lens, which is the Miniwell, an Italian lens manufactured by SIFI, which spherical aberrations are induced in specific areas of the optic of the lens to increase depth of focus, generating an elongated focus at the retina. This lens has a monofocal outer zone, and different circular areas of the lens have different spherical aberrations with opposite signs. An elongated depth of focus can be created with other technologies. Another subtype to increase the depth of field are the so-called small aperture lenses. The lenses are designed with a pinhole that blocks unfocused rays of light, reducing the entrance of light to those rays that are entering through the axial and paraxial axis to the visual axis. This results in a high-quality extended depth of focus without blurry transition zones, but it's true that less light is entering into the eye. So the total luminance that receives the retina is less, and the patient can have the feeling that less light is entering the eye. It is to be considered that EDOF effects can be added to a multifocal lens due to the limitations that EDOF lenses have by their principle, because to increase too much the aberrations can decrease the quality of retinal image, and this limitation makes these lenses not to be good for near. The EDOF effect has been added to a multifocal image like the one that is provided by the multifocal lenses. This has created the hybrid lenses. Hybrid lenses are lenses that are basically multifocal with some EDOF technology to compensate the low near vision add that they have intrinsically in the multifocality. In other words, the lenses try to create a decreased dysphotopsia, halos, and glare by decreasing the near vision add, adding to compensate this an EDOF effect that can compensate from 0.5 to 0.75 diopters of near vision add. The most characteristic and popular of these lenses that are hybrid multifocal lenses is the Technic Symphony. This lens adds to the EDOF effect and achromatization, which is creating an increase in the contrast sensitivity to compensate in part the loss of this contrast sensitivity that is created by the diffractive technology that intrinsically disperses light. In this slide we show the list and classification of the different lenses available in the market, and they are just an example when they are EDOF and when they are hybrid lenses. So the difference between a hybrid multifocal EDOF lens and a pure EDOF lens is that the multifocal lens is a real multifocal lens that creates different focuses by different near vision and diopter power, while EDOF lenses don't have any near vision at. The examples are Technic Symphony of the first hybrid lenses and the Mini World Ready of the second pure EDOF lenses. In this slide we show other lenses that are purely EDOF. The WIOL is based just on EDOF aberration principle, creating a hyperbolic optics, while these other two lenses, IC8 from OcuFocus and Extra Focus pinhole implant from Morcher, are using the pinhole effect to increase the depth of field, controlling the amount of light that enters only through a pinhole effect of different diameter. In conclusion, EDOF lenses try to create a continuous change in focus from far and near without the overlapping of images that constitute both refractive and diffractive multifocality. In doing that, certain amounts of ocular aberrations are increased on purpose to create the minimal blur necessary to see different distances, even though with a blur. That means with a dispersion of light, this image is not sharp. As a consequence, there is a degraded quality of vision, especially if an excessive amount of aberrations are induced. The range of vision is partially limited compared to modern multifocal lenses. There is a clear limitation for near EDOF lenses, basically increase the capability to see an intermediate distance, 70 centimeters. EDOF lenses, definitely, as they don't have different focuses and they are not overlapping of images, have less dysphotopic phenomena compared to multifocal IOLs, but can give to the patient the feeling of less quality of retinal image, less quality of vision, and blurry images. Some of the so-called EDOF lenses available today are really multifocal lenses with low power, in which part of the rest of the power has been withdrawn to avoid the overlapping of images, and the consequent halos and glare by certain standards of focus caused by the induction of spherical aberration and to a certain level, not to be excessive. Achromatization doesn't bring an extended depth of field, but rather an improvement in contrast sensitivity function. Real EDOF lenses should be considered as such, as only when they don't have any power added by refractive or diffractive technologies. Lenses that combine multifocality and EDOF are not pure EDOF lenses but hybrid lenses. Please remember all these principles in order to select the adequate lens for your patient and to provide a personalized presbyopia correction for each pseudophakic patient. Thank you very much.